Welcome to Big Progress. Today we're going to find out how to choose a thermal head for a radiator. Thermal heads are thermostatic control mechanisms of automatic action that are installed in modern heating systems to maintain the required normal temperature in rooms, working in combination with a thermostatic valve. A thermal head can significantly increase the energy efficiency of the apartment, cottage, or the entire building as a whole. Now the issue of energy conservation is quite relevant, since the cost of energy resources is constantly increasing. One of the solutions that allows you to save thermal energy in the house is a thermostat for a radiator. When installed, it may decrease the heat consumption by up to 25%, and with correct regulation, up to 50%. On the other hand, correctly selected thermal heads, thermostatic regulators, allow not only to obtain a heating system that is economical and energy efficient in terms of coolant consumption, but also to achieve maximum comfort in a particular room during the cold season. For this purpose, it is advisable to choose the right thermal heads, taking into account your heating system and the location of the radiators. The first radiator thermostats designed to maintain a constant room temperature were produced back in 1943 by Danfoss, and ever since then, many European manufacturers such as Oventrop, M&G, Heimeyer, Schlosser, Honeywell, Hertz, RBM, Giacomini have been constantly improving the technical parameters, thermostatic head design, innovating technologies, and producing highly efficient products. The main objective of the thermal head is to perceive the ambient temperature and by acting on the regulating mechanism of the thermostatic valve to limit or increase the flow of the coolant that enters the heater. This control method is called quantitative, since the thermostatic valve determines the amount of coolant entering the radiator, thus regulating the heat transfer directly from the radiator. In the middle of the thermal head, there are special bellows filled with a medium that is thermally sensitive to changes in the ambient air temperature. The filler in modern thermal heads may be of two types: liquid or gas condensate. In the production of liquid thermostats, special fillers are used: acetone, toluene, or their derivatives. In gas thermostats, a gas condensate filler is used. Liquid thermal heads are more common, since the production process of such thermostats is simpler, and gas condensate room thermostats are a fairly new direction. They differ in response speed. Liquid ones are slower than gas condensate ones when it comes to regulating room temperature. Next, let's see how the thermal head is arranged inside and what is its principle of operation. The construction of the thermal head is quite simple. The thermostatic regulator has a body, special bellows with a filler that responds to changes in air temperature, a stem of the thermostatic element, a connecting mechanism that allows the thermostatic head to be fixed on the thermostatic valve. And here's how it works. The air in the heated room acts on the liquid or gas condensate filler, which is in a closed space. As a result, it begins to expand. In this case, the bellows itself increase in volume, and through the stem of the thermal head act on the stem of the thermostatic valve. The valve in turn, by means of a special cone that moves downward, reduces the passage and thereby limits the amount of coolant entering the radiator. When the air temperature in the room drops, the reverse process occurs. The bellows decrease in volume. The stem and cone of the thermostatic valve rise upward under the action of the spring. The amount of coolant increases, and the heat transfer of the radiator increases accordingly. Thus, the thermal head automatically maintains the required room temperature. There are various types of thermal heads, and many manufacturers offer them in following modifications. Thermal heads with built-in thermo element. These are conventional thermostats for heating radiators, which are installed in most cases, since it's usually possible to install the thermostat horizontally with respect to the floor, so that room air has free access to the thermal head housing. Thermal heads with a remote temperature sensor. These thermostats are used if it's not possible to install the thermal head horizontally, or the installation is difficult for other reasons. For example, when heating radiators are located behind blackout curtains, an additional heat source is located in the immediate vicinity of the thermal head, or the radiator is located under a large windowsill. In these cases, thermal heads with an external temperature sensor with a length of 2, 5, or 10 meters are used. Thermal heads with an external regulator. They are used in the same cases as thermal heads with a remote sensor. The difference is that the temperature regulator is located directly on the wall, which is very convenient when access to the radiators is very difficult as a result of the installation of decorative grills or furniture. Vandal-proof thermal heads, usually installed in public buildings such as kindergartens, schools, hospitals, offices, or shopping centers. This allows you to exclude or restrict access to thermal elements from unskilled or unauthorized intervention. Electronic programmable thermal heads. The difference between programmable and conventional thermostats is that the temperature sensor reacts to changes in room temperature every 1 to 2 minutes and immediately transmits a signal to the electric motor, which acts on the stem of the thermostatic valve that regulates the supply of coolant to the radiator. Thus, a very precise and almost instantaneous regulation of the coolant and the heat transfer from the radiator takes place. In addition, you can set various programs, for example for weekdays and weekends, or program the temperature for different times of day, morning, afternoon, evening, and night. With the help of electronic thermal heads, precise control, energy savings, and maximum temperature comfort in the room are achieved. It is necessary to point out that most manufacturers offer a wide range of thermal heads different in shape and color. Often these are liquid thermal heads with a built-in thermo element of various configurations and a wide range of colors, up to the coating of thermostats with gold. Such thermal heads perfectly fulfill the main task of regulating the temperature in the rooms, and they're also great design solutions that can complement a unique interior in an original way. There are such well-known manufacturers as Oventrop, M&G, Heimeyer, Schlosser, Honeywell, Hertz, and Danfoss. And in conclusion, let's discuss several technical points that you need to pay attention to before choosing a thermal head. The size of the thermostatic valve connection thread. A universal size for mounting a thermal head is the M30 by 1.5 connection thread. Manufacturers like Oventrop, Honeywell, Valtech, M&G, Heimeyer, and Schlosser produce valves with this thread size. Thermostatic valves with M28 by 1.5 thread are widely presented on the market from such manufacturers as Hertz, Comap, Patinaroli, and Giacomini. Danfoss has its own patented click system with M23.5 by 1.5 connection thread. Heating radiators. If you have installed steel, aluminum, bimetallic, or cast iron radiators with side connections, then you just need to determine what connection thread the thermostatic valve connected to the radiator has. In case of installing steel radiators with a bottom connection, most European and Turkish manufacturers like Kermi, Permo, Corrado, Hanrad, Newstar, ECA, and Karad have Ventil valves with a universal thread M30 by 1.5. Vogel and Newt, Romstal, and Regulus radiators have Danfoss valves with M23.5 by 1.5 connection thread for click. Manufacturers, when choosing a thermal head, remember that many European manufacturers have all products certified with established warranty obligations, which is very important. Since the thermostatic head will be used for a long period of time, it is better to buy a high-quality thermal head once and get comfort for several years. Manufacturers such as Danfoss, Oventrop, Honeywell, Valtech, M&G, Heimeyer, Schlosser, Hertz, Comap, and Patinaroli make thermal heads that serve for 10 to 20 years. The prices of most thermal heads are not very high, and the installation of thermostats does not require special skills. Thanks to the wide choice of types of thermal heads of various colors, you can create thermal comfort in your room and complement its interior and design. Thus, a thermal head is an effective device that allows you to maintain a comfortable air temperature in rooms. And what is very important nowadays, thermal heads make it possible to significantly reduce the cost of energy, both in apartment blocks and private cottages. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel so that you don't miss anything new.